semester class, dude.
Okay, so
It's okay. Me neither.
apparently what I taught you on Friday was wrong. When I looked at it, no, because Anya came in today and she said, oh, I couldn't get the answers, and so I looked at this again, and then I go, oh my goodness,
That's an
I
operator.
taught you wrong.
Wait, but the zeros came out.
No,
Okay,
it's
I'm
wrong.
gonna go.
Okay.
Bye, smart
Thanks for all your help.
Making me.
So you should probably change the title of your
Making
video.
me.
What?
The video that says the lesson.
Well, I'm just gonna delete the other one because that's just plain wrong.
Wait,
Oh, I
did
wasted
it go
like
over stuff?
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Wow.
Okay, to compute the curl of a vector field, look,
Yes.
this is what it is. It's the partial of V3 with respect to y minus the partial of V2 with respect to z I plus, gosh, the partial of V1 with respect to z.
What?
That's what it says, right? Or am I reading it wrong?
No.
No, minus the partial of V3 with respect, I can't even see that far, that's how bad my eyes are. J plus the partial of V2 with respect to x minus the partial of V, what does that say? 1 with respect to y, k. This is how you compute the curl. Yeah.
I feel that because it is very last minute, you should give us that on this.
No, and you know why? Because it says, if you are familiar with determinants, the curl of vector v can be written like this. I, j, k, right?
Yeah.
The partial with respect to x, partial with respect to y. I should have known this, well, whatever. I just screwed up. So v1, v2, v3. So this is an easy way to remember this. This is what we have to do, but this is just, it helps you remember it.
What's the difference?
Oh.
Here, like this. Okay, so I, if you cross out the row and column that it's in, what are you gonna have?
Oh.
This times this. So it's
Isn't
the
that what they
partial of v3 with respect to y minus this times this.
Wait, you're not
So the
moving.
partial of v2 with respect to z.
Yeah.
So it's just a way of remembering it. Because that's hard to remember, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we were just doing it wrong. Okay, minus j times, okay, if you cross out the row and column, it's this and this. So partial with respect to v3 with respect to x minus that times that.
How about it's negative?
Partial of
Yeah.
v1, yeah, but you guys know how to handle that, right? With respect to z.
Yeah.
And then you can distribute the minus sign to get that, right? And then finally, k, if you cross out the row and column that it's in, it's this times this, partial of v2 with respect to, wait, this times this, x, minus this times this, partial of v1 with respect to y. There. That's how you compute the curl. So basically we wasted 1 day,
Yeah.
but for weighing 7 minutes.
Okay.
So here, let's just do one problem then. So whatever I told you last week, just erase it from your memory. How come? No, this is what I want to know. How come Anya Wiwu was the only one to come in and say the problems were coming up? Huh? What do you have to say about that?
What's
Can you check
sick?
the answers?
Hey, sick is not a reason.
It's not.
Just like, oh, I got excused from class because I had a cross-country meet.
Yeah.
That's not an
That
excuse.
is an excuse.
That's not an excuse.
But if you're
Okay, let's 1, 3, 4, 6, or 8. Let's do 4. Okay, here. So here is the vector field in number 4. You got, I'm gonna write it like this, x, y, z. Okay, so if I were you, I would just write this down and multiply it out. That's what I would do. Instead of trying to memorize that beast over there. So the curl of vector v is, okay, so it's gonna be a vector. Okay, so the component is going to be the partial of v3 with respect to y. What's the partial of this with respect to y? 0 minus the partial of v2 with respect to z. 0. That's done. Okay, and then it's going to be negative, if you want to put the negative there, the partial of V3 with respect to X,
Zero.
0. Minus the partial of V1 with respect to Z, 0.
But it'll never be like.
Why we pick
it's all-
this question?
And then, yeah, why did we pick this one? And then this one is gonna be the partial of V2 with respect to X, and the partial of V1. So it's 0, 0, 0, that's the curl. So there's no rotational forces.
That's
Maybe let's not do 4,
totally just.
let's do 6. Why don't I just do 2 out of your 4 homework problems?
Can you do 8?
Yeah.
No, you guys are gonna do the
Wait, wait,
quotient
do
rule, I'm
this
sorry.
again.
Okay.
You guys have to do quotient rule if needed. How hard is that? X, Y, Z, X, Z, Z. I wanna make sure I wrote that correctly. Okay, so the curl of vector V is, okay, so following this, the partial of this with respect to Y minus the partial of this one with respect to Z. Hey, now we're getting something.
X.
X. Comma, negative, the partial of V3 with respect to X, that's 0, minus the partial of V1 with respect to Z,
XY.
XY. Okay, and then finally, the partial of V2 with respect to X, Z, minus the partial of V1 with respect to Y, XZ. Okay, we finally figured it out.
Okay, so curls are a vector.
Yeah, curl is a vector.
Where does it stem from?
Remember that thing, the video we watched?
Were you here?
We watched video.
Yeah, but like.
The
Remember
one
that,
with
that
the
thing
string.
was in the water and the thing was going and rotating around?
Yeah, but where does?
So they said like 1/4 is like, it's going like that, so that's why the thing is like rotating. And so the curl is a vector, it's like, you know, since it's going that way, it's a vector pointing up like this. Kind of like torque, according to the right-hand rule thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So curl is a vector.
Miss Mike, do you have a charger?
No, I think you asked me that before. I keep mine at home, so you know what? When I go home, the first thing I do is I plug it in
Oh, I plug in the cameras.
while I veg out. Because when I go home, my brain is all tired already. So I plug it in and I just watch Jeopardy.
You watched it.
Yeah, I got Jeopardy at 4 and 4:30, yeah.
And then.
So I watch
that's all you
Jeopardy. Then I eat dinner between 5 and 6.
Well,
And
that's
then I unplug it and then it's charged. You gotta have a routine, Park.
Huh?
You need a
You
routine.
just plug
I
it
do
in
that
and
every
just
single
sleep
day.
That's
every
already-
night.
Oh, my routine is
And I
take a
listen
nap.
to me 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock.
Okay, when you're taking a nap, that's when you plug it in.
You know you're not getting.
Oh, I think an
enough
hour
sleep
first.
when your iPad isn't fully charged. Right?
That's so true.
But then you're wasting time.
Well, most of the time.
Because you're
I
not
always
using
say
your
my-
iPad. Okay, that concludes multivariable calculus. Did everybody complete the course evaluation?